Hello, creative cooks. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Phebe Cooks channel. I'm your host, Phoebe, and today we're making some ramen curry with some homemade dashi. I also attempted to make my noodles, so we'll see how that turned out to make this ramen. So if this is something you are excited to add to your meal planners, be sure to keep on watching. It's going to be extremely delicious with a nice blending of Indian flavors, hence the word ramen curry. Alright, let's get started by making our homemade dashi. You'll need about 3 ingredients to make it. Exactly 3 ingredients to make it. For that, here I have some dried shiitake mushrooms as well as dried kelp. You'll need about 4 to 5 dried shiitake mushrooms. If they're smaller than usual, you can add in a few extra. You don't want it too much because these are packed with flavor. So you don't want it to be too overwhelming. You just want it to be well flavored. If you find that there are debris or dust in the gills of your dried mushrooms, use a pastry brush to brush it off and set it aside. Next, I have here some dried kelp. This is red algae that was harvested from the seeds and dried, and we're able to use it in our cooking. If you're new to sea kelp, they come in really dried and well packed. They also have some seed deposits on them, which is all that white stuff you see on the kelp. All I need is a piece of it. Do not wash up the seed deposits. They also carry a lot of good flavor that would help you make very delicious dashi at home. I did a few research here and there to figure out how to make dashi, and I found out that it's actually one of the easiest stocks you can make in your kitchen, and you can make it so many different ways. You can also add in some bonito flakes if you don't want it to be plant-based, and that's absolutely fine. Now to your clean container, which you'll use to make your homemade dashi, add in your dried mushrooms, dried kelp, and water. I'm going to steep this entire system overnight. Let it do its thing so the water can help the flavors extract all throughout the night or up to 6 hours. And all of that is going to happen in the fridge, so I don't have to think too much about it. If you would like to learn more about how to make your own homemade dashi in so many different ways, I have added a link in the description box below by Just One Cookbook, where the host, I forgot her name, excuse me, but she does share a lot of amazing information on Japanese scented recipes, and if that's something you're into, you will definitely love it, so be sure to check out that link. For the next part of this recipe, I'm going to prepare my aromatics. Those will include garlic, onions, turmeric, ginger, because I want it really nice and spicy. And I'm not going to do too much chopping here. I'm going to add everything to a blender, which you'll see in a few minutes. That way you can pulverize the contents well, and we'll go from there. Now, ramen is done so many different ways. There really isn't a good or bad way to do it, but you want to make sure that your broth is excellent, because that is what helps to flavor your noodles, which is what makes it ramen, as well as adding your favorite toppings, many of which are fresh, to lend a really nice quality to the entire recipe. Here I have some sesame seeds. It will add a really nice je ne sais quoi, a nice level of nuttiness, maybe slight bitterness, but a really good flavor factor that will bring everything together for the broth that I'm working on right now. After pulverizing all those aromatics without the sesame seeds, add in the sesame seeds and coarsely blend it into the contents that have already been pulverized. You don't want it to turn to paste, because you still want to be able to taste it while you're eating it, unless if you're a texture person and you want everything to turn to paste. Feel free to do that. Now here I have a nice stack of spices, all in grounded form. I'm going to measure out some ground cumin, a little bit of cinnamon powder, coriander powder, fennel seed powder, because remember this is a ramen curry, so a lot of those curry flavors are going to be making their way into this recipe. And I did use my blend for a chickpea kale curry recipe that I shared a few months ago. So if that's something that you are interested in trying out, I'll add that recipe link in the description box below, as well as if you're watching this on your phone or your laptop, you'll see a link pop up on the top right hand side of your screen in the info tab, so you can also add that recipe to your meal planner. High in protein, high in flavor, and I know you're gonna love it. It also has kale if that's something you're into. I'm almost done combining the spices, and it's important that you do combine them before adding them to your pot, because you just want to bloom these spices in olive oil for about a minute or even like 45 seconds. It's very easy for them to burn when you put them in the pot, depending on the level of your heat, which is why it's important to bloom these on medium heat. The dashi is ready. I'm so happy with the flavor. Even with the fact that it's not even been cooked yet, it still smells great. You can go ahead and use it to replace your normal vegetable stock you use to make your soups, stews, whatever it is that you use it for, and use it just as you would. Now to a large stock pot, add in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. You can make it less if you prefer, but add in enough olive oil to bloom the spices. I forgot to add some red pepper flakes to my spice blend, so be sure to add it in if you like it spicy, because I definitely do like it spicy. You can also make it less if you want to manage your spice tolerance. Now, if you're loving this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it with a loved one who loves ramen, who loves curry, and is looking to blend them together like I'm doing in this video. And thank you so much. Now bloom those spices for about 30 seconds to 1 minute max. Then add in the blended goods that I had pulverized earlier and stir it in really well. Keep on stirring to prevent any splattering, and rinse your blender with water just to make sure we don't waste that blended goods, because those carry a lot of flavor as well. And add it to your pot, stir it really well, and let it do its thing. Here and about now, we are adding in our homemade dashi to make sure this soup is amazing, because there's good soup and then there's excellent soup, and with all the flavors from the mushrooms and the kelp, you'll be sure to enjoy your ramen curry, especially if you've never made it at home before. Add in the mushrooms to the soup as well, together with the kelp. And you do not want this to boil too much. You want to make sure it is at a low simmer. And at the point where the soup starts to boil, remove the kelp so that it doesn't make the soup bitter. Add in your miso paste because it's needed. You may add in some tamari or soy sauce if you want that extra level of Japanese flavor in your stock. Remember, like I said, there is really no good or bad way to make this. Okay, remove the kelp, taste your soup, make sure it is how you like it, the seasonings are good, and the soup is done. All right, it's about that time where I would love to have made some noodles for this soup, but I felt challenged on all levels. And this was a gluten-free buckwheat and brown rice flour based noodles. And you can see that it did form noodles, but they were short and cute, like my sister called them, and they were crumbly. So honestly, I put my pride aside, I humbled myself, and I brought some rice noodles that I got from the store, which I actually do love. I cooked it according to my package's instructions, which is just to pour some boiled water over the noodles for about a few minutes until they soften, and I'll use that to serve with the stock I made previously. If you have noodles that you need to boil, just be sure to follow your package's instructions and go from there. Now, the best thing about ramen, aside from the broth, is the toppings that you use to make it look amazing, delicious, good to eat, inviting, all of that good stuff. If you made this earlier in the week and it's time to assemble everything, warm up your broth, pour it in your beautiful bowl. This, which I actually got from a really good store, and this bowl was made in Japan. So it just brings everything together for me. Now check out how beautiful this bowl looks. It has some blanched bok choy, a nice sprinkle of black sesame seeds, slices of radish, the nori sheets on the side, and of course some scallions for nice burst of freshness. Yum. I think I'm doing really well with my chopstick skills. Would you agree? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, you'll definitely love watching the previous Japanese recipes I shared over the last few weeks. And if you'd like to expand your scope, be sure to try out all the Gambian recipes I shared in January. So there you have it for Gambian and Japanese. And I'm excited to share Ghanaian recipes in the month of March. So if you're Ghanaian, gather here, let me know what's going on, your favorite recipes, and I'll see how I'm able to recreate them to spice up this culinary adventure I am working on. Let me know what you loved about this video, when you'll make it, how you'll make it, what you're gonna switch around, who you'll share it with. I'm excited to hear all the details. To get a full recipe, you can find all the details on my website at creativephoebe.com. I have that information in the description box below. Y'all know I'm feasting. Thank you so much for watching, and we will chat again in my next episode. Later.